So let's take a look. So this is Arclaw taking black and you
I
taking white
usually
again.
play on PandaNet, and the people there, they're buildy. So that's the way I play. I try to play buildy, but some of these opponents are very aggressive.
Okay, okay. So I would say G4 is maybe a little bit questionable. The reason why F4 is so nice is that it puts a lot of pressure on the C3 weakness. There's still some amount of weakness here because obviously black can play here. If white plays here, then white can connect underneath. But there's also some amount of Aji that has to do with maybe a C5. So there's also some weakness at C5 where you can play C5 first and then threaten either the connection or here. So there are differences between F3 and F4 and G4, and G4 is more of a special case move, and there's nothing here that would require for the special case. So I think just extending up at F4 is going to be a little better. The other weakness of G4 is white can play H3, and so not necessarily right away, but at some point. And now black's very weak here because white can either connect at F2, or if black blocks here, then white's going to get this move here. Whereas if you play here, white plays here, there's no connection underneath. So this is more of a special case, and I don't think is relevant here.
I was hesitant to kick there. I played E3, but I didn't really know. I don't know what happens if she starts invading at this time. I didn't. So after this game, I looked up what happens if she goes to C3. That's
Right
why
now?
I tried it in the other one.
Right here?
Yes, but I played this game like 3 weeks ago. I didn't know what to do if she goes there, but then I look it up after this. So I played it in the other game that you just reviewed.
Yeah, I think that the direct invasion at C3 is not going to be great for black because I think black's going to be busy with this F4 stone here, and white's going to get a really strong position. So like white will let this black group in the corner live, but it's also going to take a nice position on the outside. And I think that's generally considered a little bit better for white. So invading directly may not make sense. But later on, after this is settled a little bit, something like this happens, then certainly the invasion here is going to be huge. But maybe not so early in the game. The only issue with the F2 stone is it kind of destroys playing at H3 later. Obviously, if you play here and then connect, obviously H3 is a vital point, but black will probably protect in some way too. So not that F2 is a huge mistake, but you can probably save it for later. I do think that F4 is a mistake though, because that now you no longer have H3 as the weakness, right?
Yes.
And so now all it is black has a strong wall here to make territory with, and if you connect here, black gets to Atari here and again build up that influence. Or if you play here, now this black group is perfectly alive because it'll either extend over here or it'll capture this one stone. So Atariing doesn't make sense. Definitely just play here and preserve that H3 weakness. Okay. Yeah, so this is obviously a pretty sizable move. I don't know if necessarily white's going to connect, but if it doesn't connect, something happens, black plays here, white's going to eventually have to connect this up. It's a little bit painful.
Yeah, I regretted playing F2 and F4 actually.
F2 is defensible. F4 is a mistake. F2 is fine. F4, I think we have to question. And this move here, I know you didn't play it, but do you think it's good or bad?
I see it a lot, but I will not play it. But I see it a lot, and at the DQ level, I have a solution to it. If I have a reply, I think it's bad.
Oh, it's horrible, right? And it falls into one of the theories that you never want to do is, you want to Hane at the head of your opponent's two stones, and you don't want to let your opponent Hane at the head of your two stones. You're giving your opponent a Hane at the head of two stones.
Because I think
right?
I can double Hane in here if she Hanes.
Yeah, I mean, it's Hane here, and then you can even cut potentially. But yeah, Hane here. I mean, this is a great result for white. A lot of territory, and black's shape is pretty terrible here.
I have a question about this shape actually. Whenever I show this to the computer doesn't want me to double Hane. in this shape. The computer
wants you to
always
extend?
wants that, but I don't know why. But it wants white to push 3 times and then cut at Q6, Q15. Yeah, the third one, then that's what the computer always does. I don't know why, but he doesn't want me to. But I always want to double hand it because I've always seen people do the double hane in this shape.
I would. So the reason why you might not double hane, black Ataris, white connects, white plays here. You're allowing black to protect its weakness over here, and eventually white's going to have to come back and protect it in some way, right? So the idea is that you can allow black to get stronger here, and white does get stronger here too, but it loses sente. And by just extending here, you know, whether black continues to extend or plays elsewhere, the cut at Q15 is still preserved. Whereas now, if you hane, the cut at Q15 no longer works.
Okay.
That would be my reasoning. I'm sure the computer has other additional reasons for it, but the computer looks at Aji like it's looking at Aji in a way that we don't do. And it wants to preserve weaknesses, and so it'll take. And you know, also getting to the fourth line territory is always a great result. So it's going to be perfectly happy with this result, and knowing that it can attack these two stones later severely is going to be big for it, right? Because if this is the result, black plays away, you know, white's going to be able to severely attack these three stones.
So essentially, it's about center, right? Because if white plays a slow move for the shape, he gets center to go somewhere else because black has to fix that, right?
I think it's a combination of sente and preserving the weakness here, because obviously black can choose to take sente now, but then white gets to attack the group. So it's a combination. It's a trade-off, I think. But either way, once you've gotten to this shape, no matter what result no matter which one you choose, whether it's a double hane or the extend, it's a good result for white. Because black has allowed white to hane at the head of two stones. I'm not sure if this might be a little too greedy. I think that white can choose to cut. Black plays here, black plays here. This is maybe a tad greedy, I think. Something like this could happen. I'm not sure exactly, but I think that black would be in pretty dire straits here. So I think for black, I would just extend. And the nice thing about extending is it preserves that 016 cut. So eventually white's going to have to come back and fix in some way. If you're going to protect, it'd be better to protect here.
Okay.
Because there's still a cut here later on. And there's also still hanes here, right? So if black plays here, white ignores, then there's still a cut here. There's, you know, you can build some shape. You can sacrifice one stone in order to build some shape on the outside. When you play here, the only cut that exists is for these two stones, and this is a very easy ladder down where there's not going to be any issues. So definitely much better to protect with this move. Yeah, I mean,
we're getting worried here.
I mean, I wouldn't be too worried. You know, white really doesn't have any weaknesses, and black still has this weakness here. So I don't think you're in really any danger right now. This is all fine. So you know this variation. So
Yes.
this is actually not as good as it might seem. And I think in this particular position, this is actually not a correct time to play S3. So this is normally the response to the trick move, but what if black just plays here?
Then I go to the top again.
Play here, play here, play here, play here. This black group is using its thickness super well, right? It's built up, it's kept the framework that it has over here, and it has a really nice framework here. This is one of those times where it doesn't make sense to play S3. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if black chooses to play here, what you should do is to play here.
Oh,
Black will connect. Oh, sorry. No, I'm making a mistake. Hane, play here, connect, then play here.
okay.
Black will connect, and then you play here. Now, this is a good exchange for white. Why? It's not that different from the main variation, but why do you think this is a good exchange for white?
I'm a little bit, I'm out, and then I'm going towards the G group.
Well, let me ask this: what's the difference between this variation and the normal variation? As if black didn't try to play the trick Joseki and just played here. There's only one difference, right? What's the difference?
Yeah, well, now I think black's influence is not as cohesive.
Well, the influence is exactly the same, right? There's the same variation. The only difference is this P3 move for P2, right? That's the only difference between the variations we showed.
Yes.
That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. But why is a P3 for P2 exchange bad?
My guess is now I'm facing the G3, black's G3 group.
White is?
Yes.
No, the exchange for P3 for P2, again, it's
And I'm out,
it's
I guess.
Not quite. I think we're missing it a little bit. So again, assuming that we play this variation, right? Black plays here, white plays here. We play this variation.
Yes.
It creates the same result, except that P3 is here and P2 is here, as if you played the normal variation where where black extends, right? The key difference here is that black doesn't want to play P3. This is not a good exchange for black because black loses the option of playing at M3.
Okay.
And if white chooses to ignore, then black can play at O2 and make a really nice exchange to seal white it.
Okay.
Alternatively, if black plays at, so this P3 move does not help black, even though it's 1 point difference. It's one more point for white. It does not help black because of that weakness we just saw. Additionally, it's also one less liberty for black. The liberty race might matter here because white be able to play here sometime. So the amount of liberties that black here is going to be really important too. So even though this doesn't feel like you're punishing your opponent when they play this trick move, this is still a good result for white. White can be happy with this result.
Okay.
But I don't think white in this particular position can be happy with S3 because I think it gives black exactly what it wants. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Feel free to stop me if I say something.
No. This is a really subtle difference that I never thought about before.
Yeah.
Because nobody has told me.
Yeah. It is a very subtle difference, right?
Learning a lot. Thank you.
So this move by black at P5
It's
is
increasing my
definitely a
strength by 1 stone.
I would hope so. I hope so. This move at P5 is just a big mistake. There's, no way around it. White still gets to connect over here, and white still gets to play here. This is it's almost like a throwaway move. Black needs to play here, or at the very least play here. Because what you don't want to have happen is white to play here. So you gave black a chance to protect. So definitely exchange these moves first and then come back and play here. You might not even want to play here. Potentially, you can just play a big move or something like this, because you're already alive in the corner.
So I think I play on autopilot. Like when I see this, I try to sneak up on the other side, but in this case, it's not that good on the other side.
Yeah.
So I have to think first.
So this fight for white's not going to be that easy, because black is so strong here, and black is strong here. So this is going to be a tough battle for white. Black could also choose to play here, which is also kind of painful too, because if white plays here, black plays here, boom, 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 and you cut, right?
Yes.
And so the white will be forced to play here, and then you can potentially kill this group on the lower side. So I would say this starting this fight at Q8 is probably questionable. White should just Hana underneath. So that's what happened in the game. You played here. Okay. I still think this is a huge move. I don't know if it's necessarily Sente, but I still think it's a very large move. Because it protects this area over here, and it also reduces how much white's going to get. So I think anything that's not P3, P2 or Q2 is going to be a mistake for black.
At this point, I started getting desperate again. So I figured I need to kill something.
You're doing okay. I mean, here's the thing though, as long as this lives, black doesn't have much territory, right? Because again, you can always play at P2 and take away black's territory here. So you're doing okay. I feel like it's probably, you want to count a little bit because you have four corners and some side territory. So you're doing fine. Black should definitely play here. No reason to come down and play here. It's just giving you more points, right? Like now if black played here, you wouldn't be able to jump in. But because of this, now you can jump in, target the weak spot. It just, these exchanges here for black haven't made sense.
I started feeling good after I was able to get the jump.
Yeah. And also now I think you just kill these stones, maybe?
Yes.
This might not kill. It's a little tough to say. I don't think this kills. Because I think black has 5 liberties here and white's only gonna have 3 or 4. Okay, black is focusing on these moves here, but unfortunately because white has P2, it's not gonna work. Yeah, these exchanges here don't make sense for black. Black needs to connect here. This is just now the group is dead. And at this point, now that this black group is dead, you've won.
I felt better after this.
There's kind of no more points in reviewing.
Yeah.
I mean, you have at least 40 more points than white.
But I think I screwed up. The opening wasn't that hot, especially on the lower left corner.
The lower left corner could have been a little bit better. Yeah. So going back quickly because
I started freaking out after that one. So I knew F4 was bad.
F4 is bad. F2 is fine. F2 is okay. I would probably just come back though.
When I played F4, I felt bad already. I knew it didn't look good at that time. I got like, oh.
But I mean, it's not game over by any stretch. I mean, we're talking maybe a point or 2 difference. It's really not that big a deal. It's certainly not as game over as this spot over here. You know, this is game over. This is, resign, stop playing black. So unless there's any other questions,
that's it. Thank you very much, Michael. I learned a lot. I learned a ton. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming.